Change in weather, Lord, all of the amazing things that we get to experience as people of Arizona here, especially in Maricopa, Lord. And I just see your hand at work in so many different places. And I just want to take a moment to thank you specifically for our mayor and vice mayor, Lord, for our city council, city manager's office, the city of Maricopa, who have done a phenomenal job on behalf of this city trying to create a better place for all those who call Maricopa home and those potential residents that want to come here. This is by far a destination point for great families. And so for those of us that have that vision and that excitement for the community of Maricopa, may we be more than willing, Lord, to give all that we can to sacrifice and service to meet that end. I'm just thanking you for the families that are represented in the city leadership here, Lord, the wives and the husbands, Lord, the children, the significant others of those that are a part of our city leadership. We're praying, Lord, that as they give so much of their time and their talent, Lord, that you would bless their families. May their families see the sacrifice as a source of blessing. And I'm praying also, Lord, that as they receive that they would understand the weight of the responsibility that you have given them to be all that they need to be, all that you've called them to be for this community. And we know that your plan is at work. We're just a part of that, and we surrender to that. We love you. Thank you for this meeting. Thank you for the time that we have to do this consistently, Lord, to make this a better place. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you very much to our Maricopa High School Air Force Junior ROTC cadets for presenting the colors. We really appreciate that, as well as for Matt Balgard. We thank you for being here as always and praying for us. Before we move to the roll call, I just wanted to quickly say that I wanted to say one thing that I'm sure is also on our minds, and that is you're also very aware of the tragedy that went on this weekend, and so I just wanted to have a moment of silence for that, and just kind of these unusual times in which we live, and it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of good in the world, but there's also a lot of evil, and so I just wanted to have a moment of silence this time. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll move to the roll call, please.
Councilmember Chapados?
Here.
Councilwoman Dusty?
Here.
Councilmember Manfredi?
Here.
Councilmember Smith?
Here.
Councilmember Wade?
Here.
Vice Mayor Brown?
Here.
Mayor Price?
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. We have a lot on the docket today, so we'll move swiftly through this here. We don't have any proclamations, acknowledgments, or awards at this time. Move to the report for the mayor. Had the opportunity to represent the city of Maricopa at a CABC event celebrating WestJet. It was their grand reopening at the Mesa Gateway Airport. Had the opportunity to be there with several other mayors from the East Valley. We are a member of the CABC as we celebrate our Canadian neighbors and the varied economic impacts and benefits that they bring to us as well as that we give to them. So we wanted to make sure that we were represented at that. Also had the opportunity to represent the city and speak at the American Public Works Association. They asked a variety of different, sat on a panel there with two other mayors, Mayor of Tempe and the Mayor of Mesa and the city of Maricopa. So I think we were well represented there in this association as we answered different questions regarding the various public work aspects of major projects and how those happen in cities and municipalities in general. Also attended the monthly ADOT meeting this past, I guess it was 2.5 weeks ago. That was on a Friday morning up in the Prescott area. Interesting time to listen to the different things that ADOT is going through and of course the transportation issues that are before us, but also had the opportunity to talk to them briefly about the variety of different things and invite them to the groundbreaking on November 20th, which we invite all of you to for the 347 overpass, which it will become a reality as we break ground. So again, that's on Monday, November 20th. At 10 a.m. So we encourage you to keep watching for those details. Also, like the Vice Mayor said earlier, we had the opportunity to attend the Lower Santa Cruz River Alliance and the U.S. Corps of Engineers update. This is a really big deal. As you know, it's one of those things I say all the time that keeps me up at night. Flooding throughout the city of Maricopa, which is really odd considering we live in a desert and it's dry 99% of the time, but it's that 1% of the time that it rains that the water has nowhere to go, and so it runs. And when it runs, it becomes dangerous. And so if you look back at the history of Maricopa, it's happened here multiple times, even in the last 30 years. It's happened 2 or 3 times that are really, really bad. And so it's something that we work very closely on now to fix a project of the breadth and scope of something this large, to channelize that, to deal with levies and other types of deterrents. It's a massive project, and it takes federal help. And so we work very closely with the U.S. Corps of Engineers. I think the thing that stood out to me today, Vice Mayor, the most is that the giant, and this is going to sound bad, but it really is an interesting phenomenon, the giant bureaucracy that is the U.S. Corps, the Army Corps, and just all the rules and regulations. And there are political rules, and there are rules as to funding, and there are congressional rules as to how that funding happens, and you have all these stages and steps that you have to prove, and you can't prove one thing, but you have to prove another, and it's absolutely fascinating. Now, it's at the same time, it's jarring and frustrating as all get out, because you can't make anything go fast. But we are making huge strides and huge headway, and what we determined today, working with the Corps and through their last 6 or 8 months of studies that they presented to us, is that we have now attained a cost-benefit ratio for the area that really does make this a viable project. While we've always said it was a viable project, Congress won't fund it unless you hit certain cost-benefit ratios. And so you have to prove that the dollars that you get to stop the destruction will have a 2 or 3% ratio against those dollars. And so what you're saving is 2 or 3 times the amount of what you're spending. And so it really does make sense, but how do you get to that point is really difficult. And so again, I just wanted to let you know we are making progress on that. It is painfully slow, and these things take so much time because there are so many I's to dot and T's to cross, but I want you to know that it is something we are perpetually working on. It is one of those things that keeps us up at night and that we are working diligently on, because it affects economic development. It affects your homes. It affects where you live. And it frankly affects the city. And if we want to continue to grow, we have to fix these problems. And this is one of those foundational base issues that takes a lot of continued support and years of looking beyond just any one group of people and looking at the problem and how do you tackle and challenge and overcome that problem. So that is something, again, I think it is a good report. We are making headway. It is slow, but we are making huge strides in ways that other communities are 20 or 30 years behind us, and they've started 15, 20 years before us. So these are the type of size and time these projects can take. And then last but not least, I just wanted to reiterate something that both Councilwoman Gussie as well as Councilmember Wade had mentioned, and that is the Veterans Day Parade that will be taking place this weekend as we celebrate our veterans. We were lucky enough to have the Air Force Junior ROTC cadets here today to present the colors, but that will start at 9 a.m. And again, remind me of the starting point. Is that the school? Is that it's not Sequoia? It's Legacy. Okay. To Leading Edge. So Legacy to Leading Edge at 9 o'clock will be the parade route. So we hope to see you there, and that'll be something exciting. So that concludes the mayor's report at this time. We move to the report from the city manager.
Honorable Mayor, council members, I was told that recently we've had a lot of mud in the city, and so we indeed have taken video of that mud, and I have Fred that will come up and introduce to show evidence of exactly what occurred.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, and City Manager Rose. I think it's getting ready to start. Maybe we should look at this first, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Mike Riggs. I'm the park manager here for the City of Maricopa. We're here at the 2017 Maricopa Mud Run. I am co-director along with Matthew Ryder, who's currently conducting and running the show. I'm the kind of behind-the-scenes guy. Myself and my staff are the ones that have the opportunity to challenge to build every one of these obstacles every year. We make them a little harder, a little tougher, and a little more interesting every year. We have 19 obstacles, 4 which are new. We look forward to this season every year. The entire staff does, to put these together, to have everybody have a great time out here.
pretty awesome. I think it brings a lot of people together. There's a lot of good causes and fundraising and other things that go on, so I think it's great that we do a lot of that. It's become tradition, like this is my 4th time running this, so it's kind of like a family thing now.
We're gonna kill this course.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No, me. Guys, what's it? Look, how are you gonna win? Look it. No, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win.
You know, I haven't even taken my dog for a walk this year yet.
I hear there's a really ice cold one with ice in it. I don't really do well with cold. I'm from Arizona, so I'm kind of nervous about that one.
See, I'll be done by sometime tomorrow.
It's awesome. It is phenomenal. The friendships, the camaraderie, the cohesion of everybody around out there. You know, everybody helping everybody, and it's just invigorating. God, it's motivating. Helping the kids and seeing the kids out there cheering them on, high-fiving, and just being a big kid. You know, I'm an old man being a kid, and you know, where can you go out and do it except here in Maricopa? I think it's a good idea. It's awesome. Yeah.
We're the Cruz! Drop him! Drop him!
Yeah. Don't forget to like that.
So as you can see, there were several people there, some in the room. I know the mayor set the standard for the mayor's challenge early and wasn't there on the 28th, but was there in spirit, I'm sure. Councilmember Wade went through the course on at least 2 occasions because he went with himself and then with his grandson, I believe. Councilmember Gussie was there witnessing all of that, and then somebody came impersonating Councilmember Manfredi. I'm not sure who that was. That was a little bit scary. But just to give you some, I think it was a good success. We had 1,177 participants in all the runs combined, 1,800 spectators, and we know that these numbers are fairly accurate because we require everybody to fill out a waiver form, so we're pretty certain of what the number is. And so when you think about 1,000, a little over 1,000 participants, 1,800 spectators, and I think what was priceless, as you saw, was the smiles on the people's faces. So thanks for all your support and participation, and look forward to next year.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Wade.
And we can't go without mentioning Matthew. We've got to mention Matthew. I mean, I know that he was mentioned on the film, but he was controlling the show the entire day and did a very good job of making it happen. So I just want to make sure we recognize Matthew for his effort.
Thank you very much. Thank you, City Manager Rose. Appreciate it. That takes us to item 6, which is the call to the public. I do have 2 speaker cards. I'll go to, 3 speaker cards. Go to those first, and after which invite anyone who would like to approach the podium at this time. Again, we keep a little timer up here for you. Got about 3 minutes, and please tell us what's on your mind. Please like to invite Joshua Marin to please come up first.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm Josh Marin. So I've got 2 items I wanted to bring to people's attention. The first item is that the city of Maricopa's only medical marijuana dispensary shut down pretty abruptly, or they closed doors about a month ago, a month and a half ago. I have been a medical marijuana patient in the state of Arizona for 6 or 7 years. So to me and a lot of other people, I'm sure that's really important. That was the only source in the city of Maricopa and in this part of western Pinal County for medical marijuana patients to be able to get their medicine legally. So I wanted to bring that to people's attention. That's really important. Hopefully we can get another dispensary in here at some point, and so on and so forth. I don't know what the exact mileage is or distance to the nearest dispensaries, 20 or 25 miles, but still, I think that's important to try to address that. The second item as well is there is close to 50,000 people here, as we know from a special census here in the city of Maricopa. And I did some research for a friend of mine and a church brother to find out if there was a funeral or a cemetery here in the city of Maricopa. And I did some research and talked to some of the people here at the city of Maricopa, and they said that to nobody's knowledge is there a cemetery here. So I really think with this many people here in this community, which is wonderful, I really think that perhaps there should be looking into that for a cemetery here, a burial place somewhere in this area for people. So that's all I had to say. Thank you very much, people.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Shelley Gillespie.
Excuse me, got to move it down low. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Price, council members. I appreciate all of you being here and listening to what we have to say. Thank you, Mr. Rose, and all of our neighbors. Copa Shorts Film Fest is excited to announce that all of the films and screenplays are in. We have over 130 projects that were submitted, and the ratings are higher this year, especially when it comes to the middle school films that we have in. They've learned over the year, and we're so proud and excited about that. We have some fantastic short films and screenplays to show you at the next festival, February 16th through 2018. Thank you to the community members and everyone who helped us review films. We couldn't have done it without you. We want to thank our ongoing and new sponsors and advertisers who are making this possible. All of our sponsors and advertisers are back, and we are grateful to announce that in Maricopa is a new presenting sponsor, partner. Susie's Cruises is sponsoring the military veteran category. Hang and Saddle Ranch is a new advertiser. And Matthew Earl Jones, the Arizona Film Office Director, has confirmed he will be one of our workshop presenters on Saturday, February 17th. Arville Bird will return to perform at our awards wrap party, and Native Spirit, featuring award-winning Native American musician Brian Hamill, will perform at our opening VIP party. Also, and this is very exciting, we have an anonymous donor who is contributing $5 of the ticket price for 100 veterans for the military veteran film block. And he challenges everyone, if that's a hint, it's a he, and challenges everyone to make it free and share by covering the other $500. So all of those 100 veterans can get into our festival film block on military veterans for free. And I have to tell you, the films are phenomenal. We have fantastic films to show from military veteran filmmakers who share the experience they served and survived for our country. We have films that'll make you laugh, believe it or not, cry, and just really think about what they do for us. We need additional donors and volunteers to make the 2018 Copa Shorts Film Fest the best community event we know it can be. Please join us, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Shelley. And then the last speaker card I have at this time is Susan Cameron.
I'm going to raise it back up.
I'm not sure the button is push. Is there a little button that turns the green light on there? It says push. Nope, on the actual microphone.
Push.
There you go. You're live.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor Price, Vice Mayor Brown, council members, and friends and neighbors of Maricopa. Your Maricopa Arts Council is happy to announce we are going to have another artist studio crawl coming up in November, which will be November 18th from 10 till 2, and November 19th, which is a Saturday and Sunday, by the way, from 12 till 4 o'clock. We have some wonderful artists participating, artists and artisans, and two of the ladies are here right now, Cynthia Portray and Diane Hebert. We have weavers, glass artisans, quilling, mixed media artists, and a gourd artist this year. If you've ever seen gourd work, it's just beautiful. Also, on Thursday night, one of the other participants is going to be at Maricopa Center for Entrepreneurs. She's opening her gallery there Thursday night at 5:30 to 7. Her name is Rhonda Tom. She is a local photographer and artist as well. So the crawl has been received very well by the people that do that go to the studios and attend each person's house, ask questions about the type of tools they use, how they come up with their ideas, and it's been very favorable. We have an article in Maricopa Magazine, page 67. That's my artwork right there. And we have flyers as well. You can pick them up at the Center for Entrepreneurs, the library, the Chamber of Commerce, and I have a pile of them tonight as well. I'd like to just say one more thing. I'm just a big fan of Morgan Freeman. And in the beginning of the movie, The Bucket List, I have to read this to you. It's difficult to understand the sum of a person's life. Some people would like to tell you it's measured by the ones left behind. Some believe that it can be measured in faith. Some say by love. Other folks say life has no meaning at all. Me, I believe that you measure yourself by the people who measure themselves by you. Powerful words in that movie. And that's why I'm saying whatever your gift is, your artwork, theater, music, whatever that gift is, share it with the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate it. That's all speaker cards I have. Anyone else? Oh, Councilmember Chapados, and anyone else that would like to approach the podium as well?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, friends and neighbors. I'm here to give you some options for your Christmas shopping season, which is now unfortunately quickly upon us. I've got 3 options for you that hopefully will save you time and will be a great gift and a way to remember those that you love and treasure. First of all, I'm going to give you an unselfish plug as the president of Maricopa Seniors. We sell lock boxes and 911 emergency pendants. These are independently owned. They will work. The lock boxes are an alternative entry to your house. Only our fire department has keys to those. You own it. They're specially keyed for just Maricopa Fire Department personnel. Our pendants are 911 pendants that have to work with a landline, or we can use Magic Jack if you do have a modem phone line. Those you own outright. There's no contracts. There's no third-party monitoring. Both of these devices, which with lock boxes we're approaching 250 in the city, we know that they have saved time and given the firefighters and first responders a way to get into the house without having to break down a door or go through a window. That's one idea. The other one is, if you haven't been to Copper Sky recently, the Maricopa Police Foundation is putting in a memorial and a bunch of pavers. The pavers are all in. What we need is you to buy one and then dedicate it to a grandkid, a son, a veteran, anybody that you treasure in your life. We want to see these pavers all paid for and all engraved. There's a bunch of them in there now, and you can see what the plaza is going to look like finished. I'm told that as of January, we're actually going to break ground on the memorial itself. So this time next year, you'll be able to go to Copper Sky and look at all the memorial and then remember your veterans, your family members, dedicated to a new grandson, whatever the occasion happens to be. Last but not least, in the spirit of arts, you can go to the art crawl. You'll find some fantastic artists there. I know every one of them. They do some amazing things. But also on Saturday, December 9th, what used to be known as Art on the Veranda and is now the Maricopa Arts Festival at the Duke is going to be returning this year. It's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a juried art show. Right now they have approximately 30 different artisans, from glass blowers to weavers to woodworkers to metal workers to sculpture, photography. There's also going to be a kids zone. The Maricopa High School Arts program is going to have crafts there that the kids can do. There'll be food, there'll be beverages available. It's free to the public. Come on out and see some great art and get your Christmas shopping done. All shop local. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Appreciate it. Anyone else at this time like to come up to the podium and address the council? Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public and move on to the minutes. At this time, we will go to items 7.1 and 7.2. Council, can I have a motion to approve, please?
So move.
Is there a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion on the minutes at this time? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 8, there are no public hearings at this time. That takes us to item 9, which is our consent agenda. I have removed item 9.2, so can we have a motion to approve item 9.1, please? There's a motion. Is there a second?
Support.
Have a motion and a second here. Any further discussion on item 9.1? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. That'll take us to item 9.2. The Mayor and City Council shall discuss possible take action to approve a contract to Carnation Building Services in the amount not to exceed $339,000 for janitorial services at a variety of locations: City Hall, Copper Sky, Maricopa Public Library, Pecana Park, at Fire Administration, etc. So I have some questions as regards to this. I was able to send an email earlier and get some answers to my questions regarding this, but I guess my question here that I really didn't get answered was, how many bids did we receive back for this particular service?
Mayor Price, members of council, Bill Fay, the Public Works Director. My understanding is that there were 2 bids, one of which was declared non-responsive, and that lived 1. So the Arizona revised statutes have a provision, there's a selection, well, for a bid there really isn't a selection panel per se, it's just a matter of if it's responsive, you kind of stack them up by price and pick the low one. RFPs and RFQs have a selection panel that go through qualifications. Regardless of which method you use, ones that are non-responsive, you have an administrative process before you get to the substance, which is usually your procurement office, that goes through and sees if the submissions meet the technical requirements. That person who does that doesn't sit on the substantive panel. In this case, it's either Brenda or Kathleen. They did that review, they pulled one out and said this one doesn't make it. And then the statute said if there's only one, you can pick it. You can kind of skip the normal substantive panel and just pick it.
Well, I guess my question is that you know, from my research, I mean, it doesn't take much to be on some of the Maricopa forums and Facebook pages and talk to members and staff at Copper Sky, et cetera. And you know, I don't want to say we haven't been happy, but you know, I can't say that we've been thrilled with this particular service here, and I wonder why, because I look at, you know, some of these locations, City Hall, Maricopa Public Library, I mean, that's janitorial, there should be a lot of bids, but it makes me wonder if we haven't hindered ourselves by putting together this entire quote, because they're different things, right? So we have on here, you know, Fire Administration, Public Works, we have City Hall, we have Copper Sky, we have special events. I'm not sure, this is kind of the double-edged sword, right? The double-edged sword that if you go to Costco and you're looking to buy mayonnaise, but you need to buy a tub of mayonnaise and no one wants to buy that tub of mayonnaise, all you need is 1 jar, you know, that's a big problem. I mean, you might save some money in some respects, but you waste a lot too. And I think that the problem that I'm having here is that, you know, while I understand that the contract previous was not as tight as we needed it to be in order to get certain things. I mean, there was a lot of as needed, but in whose determination was as needed. So a track that needs to be done, or, you know, rooms in which yoga is taking place that were dirty. And so, you know, what I found is that a lot of our staff over at Copper Sky is also doing cleaning. So if we're, as a BFO, Budget Finance and Operations Committee, if we are looking to always revise and go back and be wise steward of the taxpayer dollars, and we are paying our staff to do the same job that we're paying a janitorial service to do in some respects, it seems like we're not saving money there. And so I wonder if there's not value in holding off on this approval and separating this out, because right now we don't know what we don't know. And that is we don't know if other janitorial services would be privy to this, and instead of getting only one bid, if we had just the office work done, we might have 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, or who knows, maybe we might have 20 people. There's a lot of companies that do just office type janitorial work. And then over here, that one that does specific to gyms, and or maybe a third that says and allows for things like special events. And maybe those two are combined, maybe they're not. But the challenge here that I see is, again, while there's always a sweet spot, I think that's what we're looking for here. And what I'm afraid that I see is that we've bought the tub of mayonnaise, we've had one, bidder, we have multiple people doing work that we're paying for both sides of it, and ultimately we're not terribly happy. So I think we've got to go back to the drawing board and figure out a way in which we can get more information. We know what X is, but we don't know what the value of Y is, because we haven't done that type of a bid. And I think that that's what we need to do. We need to separate this out. We need to see, maybe we save something by having 10 different bidders on the office complex, but on the gym side, maybe it costs us a little bit more. But in the end, we save something, but we don't know what we don't know. And so I have a real hard time approving something that we know we're already frustrated with in the results that we're getting at Copper Sky, and whereas membership is so key and crucial there, if we're losing people because they don't see that as the most cleanly facility that we can possibly provide, then we're doing our membership a disservice and we're abusing the taxpayer dollars. And I don't see that that's the appropriate forum. So that's just kind of my thoughts. Council, I leave it up to you as to your decisions, but if you have questions, additional comments, concerns, but that's been my findings thus far, and I have a problem with moving forward on this one tonight. Yes, Councilmember Chapados.
Mayor, I would concur. This actually came up during the BFO meetings on the Copper Sky realignment, as well as during the budget cycle. And I think for me, it's trying to take an umbrella approach for specialized types of cleanings and needs, especially with the special events. Copper Sky, I do agree with that being in the gym. I was in a meeting earlier today on a totally unrelated topic, and the topic of Copper Sky came up. They said, we haven't had the opportunity to go through it yet, but we've driven by it. The grass looks great, it's a beautiful facility, and obviously there's pride of ownership. And I think that's something that we as council have tried to incorporate in any aspect of public services that we provide. I would support if you wanted to table it and then possibly go back out and break this apart. I think that's not a bad idea. I would also like to see us get more than one bidder. It doesn't really give us any options, even if they are capable and can perform to the standard we want. But I have heard from staff that things are not getting done on an as-needed basis that meet the standard of the expectation that's created.
Councilor Wade.
Well, I'm a little confused because I'm not sure who the vendor is that we're talking about versus is this the same vendor that won the bid? So we're just continuing the same contract? Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that the person we were talking about was the same person who did the bid, is the same person that we may have some concerns with.
That's correct. Now, in fairness, there have been some tweaks to the contract, but there is still not a specified time as to when certain cleanings take place. So while it says we're going to mop the floor, it doesn't say when we're going to mop the floor. Well, that's the problem. So if the floor is seen as dirty, I mean, do we have to constantly have an argument with them, or can we see that it's set out in some sort of a time frame that says Tuesdays and Thursdays the floor is going to be mopped? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays it's going to be swept. Those are the types of things that I think need to be in this contract, because otherwise your staff is spending time arguing back and forth with the contractor to get them to come back out and do this because they see that it's needed. It should be outlined in there. Again, I'm trying to create some flexibility and some leeway. I know we can't be so rigid because that adds additional cost, so we have to be careful. But at the same time, if we only have one contractor, how do you know we're getting a competitive bid when we have 9 or 10 others, including some local folks that were interested, but they're not going to bid on something in which special events is included because they specialize in office cleaning. They're not going to specialize on stocking restrooms after a special event when they don't know how they do that. They're going to lose their shirts. So they might bid something that they took a risk on from a local perspective and end up going out of business because they couldn't. So what do? They simply drop out of the bid. And that doesn't seem right either. I think we need to be providing more opportunities, not less. So again, it's a double-edged sword. There's value in buying the tub of mayonnaise from Costco, but there's also a hindrance to doing it when all you need is one jar. And I think we're looking for that sweet spot that both gives us value from the taxpayer side as well as the service that we need so that we hit that sweet spot. And I think that's what I'm ultimately trying to look for. So I wanted to make that clarification. Councilmember Manfredi.
Thanks everybody for the discussion so far. Thanks Bill for getting the quote and coming to us with it. If the mayor didn't pull it, I was probably going to, and to have this discussion because I'm more blunt, I guess, in the fact that I don't believe Copper Sky is clean enough. I don't believe the track is clean enough. I don't believe the workout rooms are clean enough. I don't believe the waiting room where you sit in afterwards was clean enough. I remember I've had to send a few emails saying, why is it so dusty and dirty? So if this is the same people, I know we put some fixes in, hopefully, that are going to fix the problem. But if it's the same people, I'd love to see it actually broken out and discussed further, maybe coming back with different bids for different projects, where it's the office equipment, the office cleaning, the gym cleaning, and the special events. So I'd like to see that, and I like competition, so I'd love to see more than one bidder on it. So yeah, I would support the mayor on this and putting this off for right now. Question, sorry, I should have started with it. When's it run out, the current contract?
Through the mayor, Councilman Manfredi, it runs out in June, last June.
So we've been month to month?
We've been month to month for a little while now. I'm sorry, August, we bid in June. It ran out in August. We've been month to month for a couple months now.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Gussie.
Since you said it ran out, how long is it going to take you to do this research, bring it out again, put it out to bid, and so forth?
Through the mayor, Councilman Gussie, to actually put it out is not very hard. It's really just splitting apart the word processing document and putting it has to go back out on the street for, I think, 30 days. I'll have to check with Kathleen on the actual requirement, but it's got to go back out. The getting it split apart is not very challenging. The meeting the advertisement dates and all that kind of stuff is what it is. So I would say that we're probably about 2 months from start to finish, give or take a little bit because I'm answering for her, but probably about 2 months.
Yes, Councilman Wade.
Are you ready for a motion?
If you'd like to make one. Do you have something to say, Vice Mayor?
Bill.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Bill, are there other cities that have the one vendor take care of their total needs?
Through the mayor, Vice Mayor, I have had it probably about 1 time out of 10 over the course of my career, which I've bid hundreds and things. Maybe 1 time out of 10 or so we get one bidder. It does happen. I've read research articles that say unless you get 4 or more bids, like 4.2 bids on average, you don't have full competition. So any time that we get less than 4, and certainly when we get 1, we have to have the discussion, is this just, do we just throw it out? On the other hand, if we throw it out, put it back out on the street or something, there's always a chance that we're going to be 2 or 3 months down the road and still have 1 bid. And then the guy might know, I've seen this in construction projects where, yeah, you know what? I was the only guy before, ain't nobody interested. I'm going to be the only guy again, and I'm going to stick it to even worse this time. Not that Carnation would do that. For what it's worth, Mayor Price, most of the city is actually pretty happy with Carnation. It varies by facility to some degree. So there's kind of we say that procurement, we present it like it's a very technical, legal matter. In fact, there's a lot of art involved. There's plenty of times I've sat with Patty and we've brainstormed, well, what are some other ways to get this done? What do you think? Maybe, I don't know. So I don't know what the answer is. In fact, we actually did that on this one. We had several discussions where, do we go back out? Do we split it apart and go back out? Do we do it and do something different for next year? There's a fair degree in fact, there's a great deal of judgment call here.
Honorable Mayor, I have one question for you. As I understand it, we have the ability to get out of this contract, if it were approved, if they are not performing. Is that accurate?
I don't know if I say through the mayor at this point. City Manager Rose, yes, that is correct. We have the ability, if they're not performing, we can, well, there's a variety of mechanisms, including breach and that kind of thing. Even if they are performing, it is possible to get out of with a certain amount of notice. I don't remember how many days it says in the contract. So even if they are doing their job, we could get out of it. And right now, we're not actually, well, it's not a contract. We haven't bid it yet, so we can get out of the bids just by saying, ta-da, we don't want to do it.
Well, the question seems to be they're not performing up to what we require. They could say we're performing, but certainly we're not satisfied with their performance. And I'm curious that we only had 2 bids, and one didn't meet your standards, so we should have gotten more than that.
Through the mayor, vice mayor, we've done some research. I have a suspicion that there is one topic. There's again, answering the question why someone didn't bid is a little bit harder to answer, and sometimes people are misleading. The mayor already addressed these special events. I've gotten some indication that's probably the leading cause why some people didn't submit. I'm not completely sure everyone's being honest about that. I think maybe people are hiding behind a few reasons, but it's at least very possible that if we split it apart, we'll get different but more bidders, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I have one other question for you. What's being articulated is that the vendor did not perform while they had the prior contract. I just want you to elaborate on your beliefs. Were they performing as it relates to the requirements that were laid out in the contract?
Through the mayor, City Manager Rose, yes, they were. They were not meeting the expectations of some staff at some facilities at some points, but they were for the most part meeting the expectations throughout the city, and they were meeting the contractual requirements basically everywhere. So I need to emphasize, there's different levels of service. So we go out with this contract to the different departments. Fire departments are the only facilities that people sleep in. The police department's the only one that has realistically biohazard cleanups. I mean, for crying out, we had the Copa Center until recently. That was a whole janitorial nightmare. So there's different levels of service at different facilities, and based on some complaints, we did readjust them. We had nothing. There were some things that we had to go out. We had to meet with them. We had to talk to them. There was nothing that rose to the level of beginning to threaten the nature of their contract at Copper Sky. It's the contract. They were mostly meeting the contract requirements, and those contract requirements were not what Copper Sky needed. So to really lay that at the feet of Carnation, I think is mostly unfair.
Yes, I think that there's a nature of certainly you can perform well in one area but not in another. I mean, I know I personally sat with a member of Copper Sky who sat there and complained over the course of 3 weeks about things not being done. It was the same dust bunny; it never moved, not one time. So I mean, the reality is you can't tell me that was suddenly then mopped and swept when our city staff had to go and do it. So again, we're double paying our city staff to go and do cleanup when the contractor isn't doing it. So there is a letter of the law and there is a spirit of the law. And I want to be fair here to Carnation too. I've met the owner. He comes from Colorado. I've talked to him before. He's a nice guy. But again, he is not here, and so he's got to come from Colorado when these things and problems take place. And yeah, that's fine. That's the way the cookie crumbles, so to speak. But the problem I have is that we may end up with the same bidder, and that's fine. I don't have a problem if that's the case. What my issue here is what we don't know is that we're already month to month. There's no harm in going back out to separate this and see if we continue 2 more months at month to month, and then therefore have more information to see what we have in the selection of why, right? Which is, we might have 8 bidders on just the office side. We might have 3 bidders on just the gym, and we might have no bidders on the special events. But again, until we do that, we don't know what we don't know. And I think that's my problem. I just cannot rubber stamp, something that we know is a problem, and while we've tweaked the contract, it's not enough when we don't know and we have the other viable alternatives to take a look at, and it's really only a 2-month delay. You know, big deal. 2 months, let's find out, and let's present our membership with the knowledge that we are doing the very best we can for them, specifically targeting an area that is membership driven. I don't know anybody that walks into City Hall and complains about the fact that, you know, there's a garbage can that's full or unfull, because they don't spend 4 hours here. They spend 20 seconds when they walk in, talk to the front desk, and leave. But that's a different story when we are talking about Copper Sky, where it is membership driven and people are paying additional fees to be there, and we're trying to keep membership there. We're trying to drive membership. We have to treat that location differently, and I do not see how we can keep this contract as status quo across the board and treat them all the same when they are not the same. And we are not treating our membership the same. And therefore, I feel we're not respecting the folks that are paying the extra dollars to show up and be at that location.
Mayor, let me just indicate that we're certainly happy to go back and separate out the contract to bid that out. There's some risk with that, and I think that Bill has indicated what that risk is if we learn that we don't get the bids that we hope that we do. So what we're trying to share with you as well is that we had a weak contract in the past, and that although the vendor performed and met the requirements that were included in the contract, as I understand it, we needed to improve that contract to set a different standard. We think that that's what we've done in this case. Now, that's a separate issue than saying, let's have a more competitive environment. And I think that's what you're indicating. Let's separate it out and then see if we can get additional vendors to bid on both sets of contracts. We're happy to do that, but I do want you to know why this is being brought forward to you in this manner.
Yeah, but I disagree with that statement. I think we have a weak contract now. I don't think we have strengthened the contract to where it needs to be, and that is the problem. That is the true overlying, underarching, problem that lies with this contract. It is not that much better. Saying that we have specified to manufacturer specifications. Did anybody in here buy a house where it told them how to mop their floors every day and when and what schedule to maintain? That contract is no better. All we've done is we've shifted the as-is to manufacturer specifications. Nobody gets a floor that says how and where it is to be mopped and when and what timetables and what the specifications are. That contract is no better. Therefore, I cannot support this because it is not any better of a contract. All we've done is shifted from as-is to manufacturer specs, and there are certain things in here that have not been spec'd out. So unless we have a timetable, unless we have some agreements, unless we have some abilities for our folks to count on, then we're going to continue to double pay for services that I don't believe that we are servicing the taxpayer dollars correctly, and that's my issue.
Mayor Price, can I clarify something? Because you've switched from taking the contract we have and splitting it so that we're looking at special events or disparate services is relatively painless and easy to do. If the point is that we have a weak contract, really what I need, I've got industry standards, I've got industry expertise in my department, we can handle. What I need to do then is reach out to Copper Sky and have them help me write that scope of work. The difficulty is the contract that you're currently saying is a weak contract. We did have them do that. That's the people who wrote the changes to the scope in. So redoing this, if you want me to split this apart and bid this kind of separate services, that's fairly painless and I can do that fairly quickly. If you want me to rewrite the contract, rewrite the scope, that starts to get a little more time-consuming challenge.
I don't think that adding 1 or 2 lines into the feedback that's been given tonight is totally rewriting the whole thing. I don't think that's what we're asking for. I think we're asking for the competition. I think the city manager, correctly spelled that out. But the second portion is to go back and look at those areas where we are weak in the current contract, what we tried to fix from an anomaly standpoint in this contract, and how do we strengthen that particular area. This is not a rewrite of the entire scope. It's simply just saying these are areas that need to be focused on, and then that can be the negotiated back and forth between your department and Copper Sky and Fred and community services as a whole. And I think that's what we're looking for. Is we're looking for, I hate to say minor tweaks, but it's not a complete rewrite. It's just simply some additional tweaks and some additional strengthening.
Through the mayor, we can certainly put the revised or the new scope in the hands of community services and any department, and let them have another bite at it.
Councilman Manfredi, good question.
I was just going to say, kind of on that same train of thought, is when you look at it, you know, when we first started Copper Sky, as needed was probably a good phrase because we didn't know when things were going to be needed. But as we sit today, we know that, you know, stuff has to be cleaned on a certain schedule now. We know that that track gets pretty filthy and has to be cleaned up more than as needed, and basically as needed by who. So I think that's probably where we're going on this. It's not a rewrite of the whole thing, but more of a schedule of when this stuff should be done.
Councilman Wade.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion that we revisit the process for the current vendor and that we put this item 9.2 on hold until that process is completed.
So there's a motion. Is there a second? A motion and a second. Any further discussion on this particular item at this time? Yes, Councilmember Chapados.
You qualified that by saying the current bidder. Are you then saying that you would not like it to be parceled out, rebid, to see if we get any different responses?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, actually, that is correct. That it should be parceled out. No, let me back up on this. That we allow for the opportunity for other bidders to come forth on the process. Whether or not it's bidded out, whether or not it's parceled out, I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it, but that's not where I'm at.
Well, through the mayor, Councilman, I'm going to need some more clarity. I think it's enough if you make a motion to reject this item or to vote no on this item.
Actually, that was the point that I was going to do, is just reject item 9.2 altogether and bring it back to council when you have a better understanding.
But can you clarify exactly what the better understanding is? Does that mean that it's broken out so that it can be rebid in separate fashions? So Copper Sky is a bid, and then office contracts are a bid, right? So City Hall, fire, et cetera.
Honorable Mayor, if it is rejected, our intention would be to separate it based upon the conversation that we've heard tonight.
Okay. So go along.
So I believe that a motion of just rejecting it is what suffice.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we reject this item 9.2 as presented this evening.
And do you still second? Thank you. So we have a motion and a second that has been redone as we ejected the first motion, just the point of principle. So the motion is to reject this particular item and go back out as the discussion has ensued tonight. Is there any further discussion or clarification that's needed at this time? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. That'll take us to item 10.1, the mayor and city council to discuss possible take action on appointing one citizen to fill the vacancy on the Parks, Rec, and Library Advisory Committee. This is Councilmember Manfredi's appointment. I'll turn the time over to him.
Sorry.
You're up.
I apologize. I was looking at the RTA thing that came in at 8 o'clock. I was pretty saddened when my appointment to PRL had to step down for health reasons. She was doing a great job on PRL, but immediately someone came to mind. I approached them to ask them to apply. They took time to figure it out and talk and go to meetings, and then they applied. So I'd like to nominate Ben Owens to our PRL committee. That's it.
So the nominee is Ben Owens. Is there a second at this time?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Ben is here, and he's back there. It's not the hairstyle that made me nominate him, just saying.
So thank you, Ben. We appreciate your willingness to serve. Is motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations and thank you very much. That's right. That'll take us to item 10.2. The mayor and city council should hear a presentation from Copa Central Command regarding their recent activities. This is for discussion only. So is Jim here still? Okay. We'll go track him down. Yeah. Yeah, I know that he wanted to do a video, so let's go ahead and start the video, and then he can come in at the end and finalize it. So let's start there.
I don't like to see people hurting. And I've been like that all my life. You know, from the time I was in school till now. I mean, I've just always tried to help people. And I'm sitting there watching, and you know, the only thing you ever saw in the news was Houston.
Walking in downtown Houston, and you can see
it is a colossal rescue effort.
Fort Bend and Harris counties, including the city of Houston.
Here yesterday, the water was up considerably closer to where we're standing right now.
In Dickinson, Texas, this is just outside of Houston.
Yes, Houston was devastated, but Rockport took the eye. They took the storm surge. They took it all. You know, I knew Houston was getting plenty of help that I could see on the news. And I decided, you know, Houston's okay. They've got plenty of help there because I'm seeing it. Let's go to Rockport.
Best memories I have is we've done so many road trips. A lot of years I would ask when I got in the car, which way are we going? And the wife or one of the kids would point in that direction. And that's the direction we headed. It's going to be a long 24 hours. Right here on the asphalt. They let us park all 3 trailers, and they have security at night too.
Actually, coming in here is a little bit scary. It wasn't the fact that, you know, I was afraid to come in and help. It was afraid that no matter how much we tried to set things up so that we would have everything in place when we came here, I knew we were coming in blind. Knowing that helped us. Because, you know, we had everything set up. We had people on the ground. We had things all lined up where people were supposed to have places for us and people for us to help. And when we got there the first day, we were supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. They're going to be waiting for us, and nobody showed.
Amy's supposed to be back at 1:30, so we're going to need to be on the horn with them and have to stop them. So you got Mike's number. Try to stop them.
And since then, we've gotten a better handle on this stuff. We know what we're doing now. I mean, I can't tell you all the houses that we went to and the stuff that we did, but we moved debris, we tore down stuff, we cleaned up yards so that they could get the new mobile homes or whatever they were bringing in. But we've accomplished what we wanted to do. You know, we've prayed with people, gotten Bibles to people, and literally saw what it meant to them that somebody, especially from out of their state, cared enough to come down here.
And I'm going to keep calling you guys, and as we need stuff, we're going to order it. Anything we have money for, we're going to order it and have it sent, and we're going to have it shipped right here to Home Depot or Ace. And we're going to stay with you guys. We're going to be back again and again and again until you guys are on your feet. We are not going to let go of you guys.
We couldn't have done this without the volunteers in Maricopa. And people just jumped right in. You know, Mary Grace, you know, all of them. They just dove right in and they started raising money, setting up fundraisers, gathering product, you know, getting into the trailer, sorting product. I mean, every day somebody was doing something. And then when we left with a crew of people. You know, we had Lyle and his wife, Deanne Riggs, Leon, Mike, Travis, George, you know, everybody just did what they needed to do at the time it needed done, and there was no questions asked.
You look across the land here and you just, man, where do I start? It's just, there's stuff everywhere, and they're looking at it, and these are their personal effects just strung out across the county. I mean, it's just everywhere. And I can't, it almost brings me to tears to think about like having to pick up my own stuff or pick up my daughter's, you know, teddy bears. We picked up that lot the other day. There's teddy bears, there's jewelry, there's just stuff everywhere. And I can't imagine, put myself in their shoes. It's really just, wow.
Mike, he's like me. He's younger than me, but a lot of our core values aren't the same, you know. He's a hard worker. We want to get stuff done. And Travis and George, they're some good working young men. I'm very glad to say they're with us, because the younger generation don't work like these two boys have been working. They're young still, you know. They don't have that much experience. But they're not afraid of jumping in and doing it.
They are a total blessing, very professional, and coming out here with their skills is what I needed, because a lot of people in this situation put a chainsaw in their hand and they don't really necessarily have the skills to use one, and it can be kind of dangerous. And with them here, I felt very comfortable because they knew how to handle it, know how to be safe, and they work very well together. When he's up there on the tree, he says, what does he say?
Georgie.
Georgie.
Yeah.
He's got that little accent. Yeah.
I think they've experienced a life-changing experience. You know, when we first came down here, I didn't have my doubts. I knew they were here to figure out something. But we've watched them transform within the first couple of days. And they've got more, I believe they've got more self-respect. They've got more gumption. They're willing to just dive in. You know, they're fabulous. I mean, everybody here just worked so hard. I'm proud of everybody. Everybody that helped from the beginning to where we're at now.
I think anytime you reach out and serve and give of yourself, yes, you're helping somebody else, but ultimately it will change who you are on the inside. It lets you realize that there's more to the world than your own little self-centered view. And you start to see and you have an opportunity to help others. And that can't help but make you a better person.
Majority of this building is still standing. Surprise.
So this is Luke 17, starting in verse 34. And I tell you, in that night there shall be 2 men in one bed, and one shall be taken, and the other shall be left. 2 women shall be grinding together, the one shall be taken, and the other left. 2 men shall be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left.
This is part of what we've seen, where one home is gone, and the other one is left.
All as you see is the bottom floor of the house. Just, there's nothing on it, just the bottom floor. But the 2 houses next to it, especially the one right after it, is just perfectly fine. And it's just like, it's just mind-boggling.
You know, I create this world, and everybody that's in it, I've got to protect them. You know, we came down with a mission, and we stuck to our mission, and we accomplished our mission. But I just want to say, Maricopa, I love you. Mayor Price, Vice Mayor Brown, Council. I want to thank 2 of the council, Henry Wade, Vince Manfredi, because they started this with us, gave us
tons of support and helped us through it. I want to thank Judge Lyle Riggs and the Copa Command team for staying with it. Mayor Price, you asked me a question when I started this. You said, Jim, do you think you can get this stuff to the people? And I told you I could, and that I was going to. And I did. That's why we showed you the video. And we're going to do it again, because I made a promise to those two ladies in the city of Rockport that I will be back, and I will be back time and time again until they're on their feet. I have found out that they're never going to put the city back together like it was. 80% of the infrastructure was destroyed, and it's going to take years just to get businesses back together to where they can support themselves. But we are going to go back, and I hope we represented the city, that you'd be proud of us, and I hope to keep the strength of the city behind us. I'm flying back at Christmas to see what's going on and get a better feel of what's happening now. We're going to plan maybe at spring break. We're planning maybe another trip back. And then in June, I'm going back for maybe the summer. I'm not sure yet, but that's the goals. But I do ask that the city of Maricopa, I love you. We couldn't have done it without you. And I hope you'll keep supporting us. We still have Copa Central Command and the Don Herron Relief Fund open at Desert Schools Bank in Fry's store. You can put it into the Don Herron Relief Fund or the Maricopa Pantry, which is the 501c3 that I own. I'm taking 25 families in Rockport for Christmas, and we plan on doing a Christmas basket with them. We plan on doing also a Christmas basket for Maricopa at the same time. But we do hope we can keep the support of the people of Maricopa and the city of Maricopa behind us. And we plan to make you proud in our adventures. We thank you for the opportunity to go to Rockport.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you to all the volunteers who went and for all those who donated. And like you said, the work is far from done. With 80% of the infrastructure destroyed, that is just an amazing, we had some conversations, the Vice Mayor and I today, with folks that were from New Orleans during Katrina, and that's been how many years now, and they're still recovering. So it's a long haul, so we appreciate it. And thank you very much for all you're doing. And thank you for representing us so well. Appreciate it. That takes us to the next item. Again, thank you again to all those who participated. 10.3, the Mayor and City Council to discuss possible take action to reauthorize an annual holiday signage program that assists in promoting local business awareness and economic growth from November 22nd to January 7th, 2018. It says for discussion and action. I think you're taking it, Denise.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. This evening I have the holiday signage program in front of you. So this is the 12th annual program, and the purpose behind this campaign is to promote local business awareness, to keep the holiday spending in town, and to encourage a festive holiday shopping atmosphere. So I'm excited to be here presenting something lighthearted, something fun, something that the business community enjoys, as well as the residents of Maricopa. So City Council has historically approved this for over 10 years. There has been a fair amount of support from the business community. They enjoy being able to add the additional signage and decorate their businesses, as well as participate in the contest. So what has changed for this year is an extension of the period. Usually we start this in December. We're opening this up to the, I think it's the day before Thanksgiving. Previously it was December 1, and this allows us to include Black Friday, and it closes the first Sunday in January. We will encourage businesses to apply for this and to register through our BRE visits as well as social media posts. This is an updated flyer, which I think is a better representation of the program. And we've also changed the incentives. So there's cash prizes as well as a free vendor booth for the 2018 Salsa Festival. So it's a great way to get more vendor participation at the event as well. So this was meant as a joke because those really are the regulations and they're on page 2. So we won't go through all of them, but basically you have to have an active business license, be in the commercial corridors. You can't restrict, people drivers from seeing inhibiting their ability to view traffic. So all those instructions and regulations are on page 2 of the flyer, and judging will take place on December 9th through the 18th. I'm happy to answer any questions about the program.
Council, questions on this program? Yes, Councilwoman Gussie.
I just have one question. Is this information in Spanish? Is it going to be made available in Spanish?
We can make it available in Spanish.
Yeah, I know of 2 particular businesses that are currently operating, and they do have licenses that would appreciate this in Spanish.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Any other questions or concerns on this? All right, is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve this 10.3.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much. We're excited about having that. Appreciate it. 10.4, the Mayor and City Council shall hear a presentation from Quentin Baker, Executive Director for the Maricopa Center for Entrepreneurship, or MCE, to provide an update on the third quarter for July, August, September activities. This is for discussion only. Quentin and Denise.
Good evening. I was just going to introduce Mr. Baker. So as the Mayor mentioned, he's here to provide an update on July, August, and September. And the information will revolve around metrics, recent activities such as the creation of the Board of Directors, mentors that are now available, and future programming. Please welcome Quentin Baker.
Thank you, Denise. Quentin.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and Council. And I just want to, before I get started into this, the crew that I have back here has informed me that I give very dry statistic presentations. So I'm going to try to not do that this time. And I also wanted to acknowledge them for showing up here. I actually have 2 of our advisors here, Mr. Sean Kasher as well as Mr. Martin Schallenbach, which I'm sure is a stranger to many of you. So, and I wanted to also say thank you, Jenny, for coming, our pitch competition winner, as well as Aris. So, yeah, I wanted to just get started on that. And I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because there's a lot more stuff that's not statistic-based that I want to talk about. So, quarterly update. Right now what we're looking at is the third quarter compared to the second quarter. The few asterisks that you see at the bottom are things that were significantly boosted by the pitch competition that we held here in August. And the main thing that I would like to show on this is that some of these metrics that we have are actually going to be going away, and some of them are going to be, we're going to be adding more. The few that'll be going, actually there's a next slide for that, are basically ones that I've gotten complaints about saying, oh, it doesn't really work for what we're up to. So we listened, and it also gave us a certain amount of confidence that we're actually able to now bring a breadth of metrics to what we're up to, which was something that wasn't there before. So when it comes to a few of the things here around like the events hosted, events sponsored, that's been a lot of the arts and entrepreneurs. That's some of the events that we've been having there to promote our local community, as well as our team has actually grown since then, I think since the statistics for the third quarter, to about 5 people. So you'll be noticing more marketing that's been doing, more availability there. And like what we were discussing before, around having the office being open and available for the community, there's gonna be not just myself, but other team members as well. The additional metrics that we are able to provide are listed here, serving this population of Maricopa's business license holders, as well as business license applicants after MCE interaction. This was requested based off of us being able to track who is come in and then before didn't have a business license and now does. So looking to see what impact we have on that. The active mentors that we now have a mentor pool. And I would actually like to thank Councilwoman Chapados for being one of the first mentors out of the council to actually volunteer and dedicate their time towards our small businesses. Thank you for that. So being able to report how many mentors we have that are active, how many hours of mentoring is being requested and delivered, any external partnership and sponsorship dollars. So I'm gonna, through some of these, the main focus of this is I am still completely committed and dedicated that the center is geared towards self-sustaining and being self-sustaining and being able to develop more than just partnerships that are external, but actually bringing in dollars. And there's a few ways that I'm looking at that, but I just want to make sure that that's stated, that the whole point of this is to try to get us to a foundation to where we can then be in a position to be self-sustaining, whether through leveraging different funding options or by being able to generate revenue through our programming. The participants that we have in our programs, we now have 4, which we'll get to, as well as any grants that we have applied, any grant dollars that we've secured, as well as any community outreach that we have. The third quarter accomplishments. So we have launched an MCE mentor program. We've launched an advisory board that has been filled. We have one M loan recipient that has paid off the balance, which was fantastic for them. Congratulations. The launch the Citywide pitch competition, the first of its kind. Averaged 2 new clients a week from the marketing that we've been doing. Pitch contestants reported increased revenue opportunities after competition, so that was a fantastic success. And then we now introduced 4 programs. So it's been a very busy quarter for us. The main thing that I wanted to discuss with the mentor pool is this was created because there was a request from other entrepreneurs that have been in the business, and as you know, Maricopa has a very skilled population. Very passionate population. They have been there, done that, and then some. And they wanted to find a way to contribute back to the community. So this was created as an opportunity for them, and they have shown up and shown out. I believe 88% of our mentor pool is local entrepreneurs that either retired or currently in business, and they're making themselves available over 40 hours in a month to go ahead and contribute towards the community, even if it's through just 1 hour a week or things of that nature. We now have started doing a party around it, which is on a monthly basis, meet the mentors, as well as we're going to be doing a monthly roundtable where the mentors as well as some of the advisors are going to be sitting around, and the clients can come in and come with certain discussions, come with certain topics, certain issues that are happening in their business that they can get multiple experience perspectives around. So I'll talk about what our next roundtable is coming up. The Business Advisory Board I'd like to introduce. There are 2 of them here, but I would like for you all to get to know who these gentlemen are. So these are all people that have made a measurable impact to the community and have been noted for their generosity and their, not just their generosity, but fostering a culture of generosity through the small businesses that have been around Arizona. So Odin Domingo is one of the co-founders of Cohoots, which is also a co-working space in downtown Phoenix. We also have Martin Schallenbach, who has been leading our charge around developing and training our startups on how to sell, how to promote themselves and give a valuable proposition to all of their clients and customers. Dan LaBeouf, he has just a wealth of knowledge everywhere when it comes especially to numbers and how to make those numbers work for you, how to read those numbers, how to make your finances work, as well as looking at different opportunities and leveraging those. And as well, we have Mr. Corey Woods, who was previously part of the council in the city of Tempe. And now he currently is the director for the ASU Academy. Then we have Mr. Sean Casher, who is here with